You think social media marketing is dead?
I think the old way of doing things is dead, for sure. I think marketing on social media, as far as just posting content, just to feel good about you posting something, and maybe you were pitched an idea of like, hey, we're going to post for you, is like a complete waste of money. For the most part. I mean, there's edge cases to all this stuff, but I would say that it is not very effective, if not really thought through, and has a very purposeful strategy just to post something to post. So marketing in that context, I think, is dead. I think there's ways to post things that are valuable, but usually they require a lot more effort than just paying a company to do.
I feel like it's become a very non-challenged checkbox. Oh, we need to be on social. So you'll be the one that you'll post, right? And we should have some metrics. So post 5 times a week or 3 times a week, or
like the content calendar thing, right?
Right, yeah.
So I met with a charity, and they had this proposal in front of them, and it was like, here's a content calendar, and here's all the things we're going to do, and here's our KPIs, and it's like click-through rate and impressions. And I'm like, what is your KPI? Like, what's your goal? Your goal is to get donors. Is any of this going to get any donors?
Right.
The answer is no. I would bet a lot on it. Like, it's just not going to do anything. Like, your mom and your uncle is going to say, yeah, great job. Like, they're going to like it. And I hate to be, like, negative about it, but it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And it really hit me a week or two ago. If you haven't downloaded this plugin, it's called Social IQ. It's a Chrome extension. It's free. You could go to someone's profile, and you could see the engagement rate, their average engagement rate.
Their social profile.
On their posts, like a business. So like I went to one of our competitors that has a lot more followers than we do, and I looked at their engagement rate, and it was like under 1%. It was like 0.07, maybe even less than that. That means for every 100 people in their audience, they're getting less than one person that's engaging or that likes it. So just think about that.
Yeah.
And the people that are engaging are probably going to be the same people.
As a quick aside, I was talking with somebody the other day, and it was about getting people to show up at an event. And he was asking, like, well, how do you do that? And I was like, it's just math. And he goes, oh, I totally get it. Like, you send out 5,000 invites and you'll get 1%, and then you'll get. I was like, no, it's the opposite of that. It is find 5 people that you know will bring 2 people to the event. It's just like, oh, what's your goal of what you want? Just find the people that can get to the goal and not go, we need to reach all these people and hope some of them show up. It's flipping it. And I see the same thing in terms of like mapping your social strategy to donors, whatever your business objective is. Is this the gap?
And the events, too, are interesting because the most effective way to do it, and it doesn't scale, but it certainly works the best if you have a smaller event that you're taking off.
Sure.
And that is a direct message to someone.
Oh, my gosh.
A text message, a phone call. Hey, I'm having this event. I'd love to have you. I know you'd like it. That person's going to feel so much more connected to that invitation than, oh, well, you were on the email list.
Yeah.
Why didn't you see it?
Right.
The other day I was running, we had that event with Ben, and I ran into my buddy Jeff, and he's like, how do you even see my email? And then later he texted me. He's like, oh, I'm so bummed I missed it. So he was upset.
Right.
And I could have messaged him, and he would have 100% been there.
That connects to social too. And you could think, well, you follow us. Why wouldn't you have seen that message? And you haven't thought through, well, that's not how the social algorithm works. You're going to see everything that the companies you follow post. You're not, it's, and you have no control over whether or not that's going to show up in their feed. Just because you posted, everyone should see it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. One of the metrics was followers, and I get it. Like, I'd be lying if I didn't like to see my follower count go up. And
it's a proxy, though. I mean, it's a valid thing is you understand.
Yeah, it's a vanity metric. It's a metric to feed your ego, but the reality is things are measured on the piece of content, and that's why, as you know, we look at skip rate now. That's really important because if you have a high skip rate, and maybe people don't know this listening to this, let's say you do a reel. We're going to use Instagram. TikTok works very similar, and so do all the platforms. Now they'll push it out to a subset of people that represent your audience. Some will be your followers, some won't be. And then they will look at the performance of it. And if people are not skipping over the first 3 seconds, they will then push it out to more people. And they'll keep doing that test. And then they'll look at other things like shares, engagement, to then keep expanding that reach.
Yeah. What
happens is if you don't have a good hook or you don't have a reason and people are not watching past 3 seconds, it doesn't go anywhere. We have things that our skip rate is 95%, meaning 95% of the people that watched the video skipped, couldn't even get past 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It didn't go anywhere, and you just see it die.
Yeah.
But then you see the ones that work, and you're like, it's a less than 50% skip rate, and then those do really well. And then if you could get to 30%, those will do even better. So this notion of just posting to post is a complete, utter waste of time because no one's seeing it.
Yeah. 100% agree in terms of the content has to be good in the way that you want it to be used. But it's also that you could take that same piece of content, that same video, we posted it on social, the skip rate wasn't that great, and so it kind of died, right? It didn't get gated through the acceleration matrix of whatever. But you could take that same piece of content and you could share it in an email or a text with your more controlled group of people, and they might be like, oh, this is brilliant. I love it. Because you got it to them in a way that they engaged with it. So you know the content is good. It just didn't break out in the algorithm because of a lot of things that you don't have control over.
Gary Vaynerchuk says this, and I'm a believer in it as well, is that let's take paid search content. So let's say that post, for example, I'd put money behind, right? You can argue it can still do well if you put money behind it. But in comparison to something that has a better skip rate, that's going to actually perform a lot better in paid search too. So you use organic as a way to test, like, will this work in paid?
Yeah.
And his thought process, and I agree with him, is you shouldn't be putting anything in paid search as far as ads that haven't been tested in organic and proven, because you're wasting more money.
Right.
But to your point, let's say you're doing something and you're creating a piece of content that's so like relevant to your audience, but not necessarily to people that don't like non-alcoholic beer or that aren't into non-alcoholic beer, let's say for Go, right? Let's just say I post something in the universe. There's gonna be a subset of people that just don't really care. They're like, any beer sucks, like I don't like it. They're not gonna engage with it no matter what. So that doesn't mean it's not gonna work. However, if I'm looking at the two pieces of content and the same message is delivered and one has a better skip rate than the other, I'm gonna use that better one for everything.
So going back to this organization that you were talking about, that you were helping them evaluate some proposal, you prompted them, how do you want to use social within your overall strategy to unlock more of their inherent value within their organization as far as storytelling is concerned? Like, what's the...
They were prompted by a board member to say, we need to get our name out there more. In our area, for context, there's almost 200 nonprofit organizations. There's no one on the other side of these organizations saying, I want to donate money today and I don't know where to do it. And again, there's like foundations that help with that stuff. But like what I'm saying is the supply and demand equation's off because there's just too many charities. Like myself, I want to help everyone, but I can't help everyone in a material way. So this notion of like, well, let's just get our name out there is for what purpose? Like I would start asking the why like 5 times. Like, okay, why? Well, I want to get my name out there because I want people to know the term. Okay, why? Well, because I want them to know what we do. Or, okay, why? Well, because like the staff here does such a remarkable job, and the kids, like they have a place to go and they wouldn't have all right, well, why? Well, it's because like, you know, we need to expand here. There's such a gap. And once you start drilling deep enough, you start to get to the root of it. In this case, they're doing like an amazing thing for the community, and the community doesn't necessarily know about it. But a lot of charities are doing these amazing things, right? Most charities do amazing things. Therefore, like to get that message out there is really important. But how do you do it? Like, how do you do it effectively? And how do you do it in a way where it doesn't create just a waste of time and money and marketing efforts? Now, in the case of like really good organizations, they have really good salespeople that are reaching out to donors directly to what we talked about earlier. The one-to-one, hey, can I meet with you today? I want to show you what we're doing. And that's amazing.
And I want to understand what you want to get out of this organization.
Exactly.
And engaging them.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they would be like, here's how you can help, and here's if you donate money, here's exactly where it's going. It's not going to some administrative overhead costs. It's going straight to build this building to feed this many people, and you're a part of it, and your name's going to be on there as a contributor, and that's like super clear. If you're just getting your name out there, you want a social strategy, that's what we're going to dive into right now. And what I said is you need to create a way to disrupt what everyone else is doing. You need attention. How are you going to get attention? You're not going to get attention by saying, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z here. And when I think about that, I think about how do you create a vessel for communicating what you do in a way where it's disruptive, where people are going to pay attention. That's the criteria. That's what you should ask yourself. And this applies to any business, right? If I'm Go Brewing and I'm just talking about like the beer we make every month and I don't have any creative way to communicate it, you're just going to get bored of it.
Will you say that again? Because I think the sequencing on those questions is actually really, really important. Because if you're just starting with how do we get attention, there's a lot of ways to get attention and bad attention that might not align with like, this is what we're trying to accomplish.
Right. So you can subscribe to a ton of, let's say, different services, whether that be like, or strategies, whether that be like PR. right? There's PR agencies and their jobs to get you on the news and to get you in publications, and all that stuff is really cool. However, on the other end of that, who's the audience? Is that going to help move the needle? And how are you going to effectively communicate with them so they remember during this like 2-minute clip? And what are you going to do with that clip to then give it more life than this live segment that now many people are watching these days, right? And the reality is, if you're just there talking about your organization and that's it, I hate to say it, it's just going to be noise to someone. To most people. Some people resonate with it, or it's not going to be memorable. They might be so touched by it, but they'll leave there and they'll go make coffee and they'll forget, like, who's that organization, right? So it's how do you do something that is so disruptive but still communicates your message to then be effective? And it goes back to the other podcast we just did about storytelling. Then you have to think, okay, what vessel can I use? So think about like a cargo ship that's delivering something. Well, if everyone has like all these speedboats and then you have a cargo ship that's different, you're going to pay attention to it. And that's kind of a weird analogy. But like the point is like you have to have a differentiation to be able to have someone pay attention to your message.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, what is that? And can that communicate to my key customers on the other end? And I'll just give you like an example for Go, right? We could easily, as you know, create something viral. Like we could create something that's viral, that is silly, that's like dumb. Maybe I run into a wall or I crash my, whatever. Like we could create something that's viral, but is that going to like resonate with is that going to sell me another beer? So you have to balance those two things of like, okay, how do I communicate this, but also get the message that I want to deliver out versus just get attention. So that's like a little nuance to this too. So in this case, I met with this organization and I said, what if you guys had a goal and instead of doing what everyone's doing, maybe you think about creating a documentary? And they're like, okay, tell me more.
So this is to like, hey, we want to tell stories. Okay, well, everyone wants to tell stories.
Yeah. So like
a
documentary in itself is like, okay, cool. You're probably listening to this like, oh, great idea. But the idea is the documentary is about this charity creating a documentary, getting in like the Cannes Film Festival, where they have no experience whatsoever creating anything.
Yeah.
The people they're working with have no experience, but it's about their journey, and along their journey, you're going to be able to see what they're doing for the community, the adversity that the staff has on them, and you're going to understand this organization so much more in a very impactful way in a 15-minute documentary than you would in like 1,000 posts that get no attention.
Right.
Because you're going to be able to like follow this really engaging, interactive story that is the vessel communicating the message of the organization. So it was just like an idea. Now, is it easy to execute? No. But I would argue that like if you're going to spend money on someone that's doing, I don't want to say the company's name, but this company pitched them like this kind of craziness, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is stuff I did like 20 years ago.
You know,
like literally 20 years ago. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you guys aren't going to get anything. You're not going to get one donor from this. And I hate to be, I'm just being realistic. Like it won't get, and it won't move the needle out. Like it might make the board feel good, but like, oh yeah, our name's out there now. Like we're doing this. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you're wasting money. You're not going to get results. And I equate this to like when I was a car dealer, there'd be a month, there's many months. It was like 2008. It was like the worst time to be a car dealer. But there was months where our sales just weren't at the velocity. And I'm like, this is going to be a shitty sales month. So what I do is very reactive. The time my group just believed in direct mail. So I'm like, okay, let's send a direct mail piece out. Tell our customers, send a direct mail piece out, get a 1% response rate. Barely move the needle. It's very reactive. I knew it probably wouldn't work, but I'd hope I got to do something. You got to take action. And it's just like, it just doesn't work at the end of the day.
Going back to the well that you know is started to...
Yeah, you're doing that because you want to do something. So like, I get why like that's intriguing to you to like do this like thing. But on the other end, you have to be more creative these days.
Yeah.
And then going back to the PR, right? Now you're on WGN and you're talking about you and your colleague are trying to get the Cannes Film Festival. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And now it's shareable. Now people are talking about it. And now all of a sudden it's everyone on the other end is looking and they're like, what are they doing here? Oh, you haven't heard of this organization? And you start to dig into it and you get clips of this, not just them talking about it, but you get clips of the school and the kids and the staff. And then you start to like really understand what they're going through. And that's how you communicate a message.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story about Operation Pink Sky?
No.
All right, quickly. So we were working with this skydiving company, and they had this fundraiser that they called Burlesque for Breasts. It's kind of like weird, but it was basically like a day at the drop zone where they were raising money for breast cancer awareness. So it was for like a lot of people that were there, and were basically skydiving in like burlesque outfits. I was like, well, that's interesting. Was how's it going to connect with anybody that doesn't already know this culture kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, let's change the whole name to like Operation Pink Sky. Like, what's that about? And I thought of it because you were talking about WGN. So we went to GN and we were like, we want to skydive into a bullseye of pink bras live on WGN TV. And they're like, you could do that? We're like, we think so. So we make this whole thing happen where we set up professional skydivers are going to land live on WGN Morning News into this bullseye of pink bras. We're like, this is going to be great. It'd be perfect. So many logistics involved in doing this in terms of like FAA regulations. Can we get into the airspace? Like, you got to know, when do I jump out so that I can land right at this moment where the guy on the ground is doing an interview with the spokesperson from the drop zone or whatever. And this is not going right. And I'm watching it from home, like on live TV.
It was your idea, and you're like,
and they're just like, is that the plane? No, that's a bird. What about that one? No, that's a jumbo, jet kind of thing. And it's like, I'm like, where's the skydiver? Where's the skydiver? I'm thinking, we're never going to be invited back to WGN ever again. They're like, you totally fucked up. We're on live TV, right? And it was like, should we go to commercial break? I don't know. They might be landing anytime soon. And it just kept going on and on and on. WGN loved it because it was so chaotic. It broke everything that they were doing. We had like the guy from the drop zone is like totally improvising now, and WGN Morning is like really funny talent and whatnot. They're making like hand puppets on the ground with the shadows, and eventually the guy lands and he hits the bullseye and it's great and everybody's celebrating. And again, promoting breast cancer awareness is not a core part of the skydiving company's business. It was just something that they were doing. What they wanted, the why behind the why was, we have a lot of fun out here. Wouldn't you like to come have fun with us? Even if you're just a recreational skydiver, you want to do it kind of for free, whatever. And then the clip went totally viral before viral was a thing on actual other news going, hey, this station in Chicago had this crazy moment where the skydivers didn't show up, and it, like, for WGN's purposes, it was great because it got them out there more to other people. Skydiving Center, of course, was happy because people were like, I want to go out to that place. I would go there instead of the other one kind of thing. And I'm sure they raised some money for breast cancer awareness, but it was just like...
Yeah, it was like the vessel that you used to communicate that was skydiving. You got the PR.
Yeah.
So you had all the things versus like if you did PR and you were just like, okay, well, we're doing Breast Cancer Awareness Month, like amazing cause, but like there's a lot of people that do it. So how are you going to know who to contribute to or participate in, in terms of like what they're doing? And that to me is a really good way, because now you're like, oh, like I've been meaning to go skydiving, I'm going to sign up with these guys. So yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So it's like now in today, there's just even more and more noise. So you have to really think outside the box.
Noise. Yeah. I like that, the why. Like, if you don't get 5 layers deep, you're probably not where you need to be.
And if someone's showing you, here's the KPIs, ask why. Well, why do I care about my click-through rate? And I'm like, what is your email open rate? And they're like, 25%. That's pretty good, right? And I'm like, well, depends like who that 25% is. Is that all your like relatives and your family? Like, what's the goal of it? Like, why is that important to you? Have you been building the email? Like, so there's like all these factors in, but ask for the why, because a company just coming in saying, here's all these KPIs, even if they're good, like, hey, we increased your open rate by 10%. Yeah, okay, cool.
Right.
How many more donors did I get from that? And they're like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't control that.
So social media marketing is not dead. Just do it better.
Be better, man.
Be better. Go.